You're a college student at Stanford with a burning desire to start your own business. Against all advice, you decide to take a leap of faith and drop out of school to pursue your passion. Fast forward 5 years, and you've not only made your vision a reality, but you've also achieved a booming business and billionaire status at the age of 26. It may sound like a fairy tale, but this is the true story of an extraordinary entrepreneur who dared to dream big and then made it happen. Who is Henrique Dubugras? How did his little company suddenly become one of the most trusted spaces for investors to park money? And a kid's business, really? Let's find out. Henrique Dubugras grew up in Sao Paulo, Brazil. As a kid, he didn't always excel academically. In fact, he was a bit of an outsider at school, with only moderate grades to show for his efforts. At a young age, he comfortably spent much of his time online and even made most of his friends from the internet. Dubugras was particularly interested in gaming and found himself immersed in an online community where coding was viewed as the ultimate cool. It was what greatly inspired him to learn how to code and to practice programming. You might think he was a natural tech genius, but the truth is that all of his achievements were a product of his consistent hard work. What most people don't know is that Dubugras is diagnosed with ADHD. This made it hard for him to concentrate in school, but when it came to programming, he was always hyper-focused. He was so passionate about technology that many times in his childhood, he would spend 10 to 12 hours straight coding without getting tired. When he was just 12 years old, Dubugras wanted to play a popular online game called Ragnarok, but because his parents didn't want to pay for it, he made a pirated version where he could access premium features for free. He was able to make tens of thousands of dollars from in-game purchases, but still, being a child, he was not fully aware of the legal implications. Dubugras broke patents and was eventually forced to shut it down. Despite this setback, it was clear that he had a talent for tech, and this was just the beginning of his journey as an entrepreneur. Fast forward to his teen years, Dubugras had his heart set on attending Stanford University for college. He looked for fellow Brazilians who'd been accepted to Stanford and could guide him through the application process. It wasn't long before he found his guy through Facebook, a Stanford senior named Gabriel Benaros, who had planned on building an online events management company called Ingress. Dubugras saw an opportunity and struck a deal with him. He offered his coding skills for free in exchange for the senior's guidance in Stanford's application process and a recommendation letter. He worked for Benaros for a year, and mind you, he was only 14 years old when he did this. Soon enough, his plan worked. Dubugras was scheduled to enroll at Stanford University in 2014 and had finally left Ingress to experiment on launching his own startup while he was still in Brazil. His first few attempts at building a successful business with friends didn't pan out. However, Dubugras and co-founder Pedro Francescisi hit upon a winning business idea. Dubugras met most of his friends online, and Francesci was no exception. They both followed each other on Twitter and began chatting online before meeting in person at a technology conference in San Francisco. After discovering that they had common interests in entrepreneurship and tech startups, they decided to work together during their senior year in high school to develop Pagar. Me is a payment platform for Brazilian businesses that enables customers to check out on the company's own website. It's actually super convenient and lets people skip the hassle of being redirected to a third-party payment site. It's pretty wild to think that a 15-year-old kid is starting a fintech business. But it also makes you wonder, how did Dubugras manage to get investments for Pagar? It was a total hustle. Being young, Dubugras and Francesci had to work extra hard to establish relationships with potential investors. Pagar forged partnerships with major players and tech businesses in the Brazilian e-commerce ecosystem, such as 1. Mercado Livre, 2. Ebit, 3. Elo7, 4. Enjoei. They also strategically planned to enter the market at the best time, a time when e-commerce was booming in Brazil. They leveraged their network and pitched their plans in startup accelerators and competitions, even going so far as to build functional prototypes to showcase their vision. Soon, they were able to pull in funds from both local and international investors, some of which would be 1. Wedpoint Ventures, 2. Valor Capital Group, 3. L. Catterton, 4. Cryotech 2, 5. Spark Capital, 6. Tencent, Sven, Oak Tree Capital. All believed and recognized the potential of Paygar, and had significantly contributed to its success in achieving impressive growth metrics. Soon, Dubugras and Franceschi's hard work paid off as they were able to secure
$30 million
to start the business and assemble a team of 150 employees consisting of developers, engineers, and business professionals who were all committed to scale the platform. Paygar grew rapidly in popularity, cementing Dubugras and Franceschi's status as young, formidable entrepreneurs. It was in 2016 when the duo decided to sell Paygar, to a larger competitor and move to a new business venture. Dubugras and Franceschi were only 20 and 22 years old at the time and were already attending Stanford. Dubugras and Franceschi attempted to make a virtual reality platform named Beyond. However, they ultimately decided not to pursue the idea because they realized that they lacked the necessary experience. Instead, they opted to stick to an industry they were already familiar with: fintech. Building a fintech business is never easy and requires a lot of dedication. That's why, in less than 6 months into their sophomore year, Dubugras and Franceschi dropped out of school and committed to bringing their business venture to life: Brex. Obviously, it was a big risk to make, to drop off of school and build a fintech business from scratch. But the duo just knew that they were capable and that they had to take the chance. As you should know, it wasn't an easy feat. Dubugras and Franceschi were building a product in an untapped market, and they also had to learn and comply with very complex financial regulations. There was a lot of stress in between, but they did succeed in catching the attention of prominent investors. Because Brex seemed so promising, they received a $3 million investment from Y Combinator, Ribbit Capital, and even PayPal co-founders, Peter Thiel and Max Levchin's personal investment funds. Both of the founders were only 22 years old when this occurred. Then, in January 2017, it was official. Dubugras and Franceschi finally showcased Brex to the public. So, what's Brex exactly? And what does this company aim for? In a nutshell, it's simply a company that issues credit cards to new startups. Dubugras and Franceschi developed this business because they noticed that many startups couldn't obtain corporate credit cards unless they had an established FICO score or had been profitable for several years. They wanted to allow businesses to acquire credit cards without a personal guarantee and with much higher credit limits than other providers. During the early years of Brex, did they face any significant challenges? Absolutely. The biggest challenge they had so far came in 2020 when they had to lay off many of their staff due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Like all other businesses at the time, the situation tested their resilience. Fortunately, they were able to thrive as they decided to serve remote and online-based companies. It comes as no surprise that Brex has become the fastest growing startup in fintech, and quite possibly among all startups historically. After 3 years since its founding, Brex has become a dominant player in the industry and was already valued as a unicorn at
$2.6 billion.
For context, a unicorn startup is a private company with a valuation
Over $1 billion.
As of January 2022, Brex's valuation had skyrocketed
To $12.3 billion.
Most investors today would consider Brex a reliable and safe space to park their money. But why is this so? A recent incident involving Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, further highlights why Brex has become a preferred choice for many. Basically, what happened was SVB experienced a technical problem in early March 2023, which caused a major disruption to its banking services, leaving many of its clients, including prominent fintech companies, unable to access their funds. Brex quickly sprang into action and launched a program to onboard SVB's stranded customers onto their platform. The program allowed these customers to continue their banking operations without any disruption and enabled them to access the funds that had been previously locked in their CB accounts. In just a few days, Brex added over 4,000 new customers. This move not only helped Brex to gain new customers and increase its deposits, but also helped improving itself as a dependable platform and a solution provider to unforeseen challenges in the fintech industry. To sum this up, the story of Henrique Dubugras is a testament to the power of following one's passion, taking risks, and having a relentless work ethic. From his early days as a coder to dropping out of Stanford to pursue his entrepreneurial dreams, Dubugras showed that success can be achieved at any age with determination and hard work. His companies, Pagar, Me, and Brex, are prime examples of how innovation and addressing common problems can lead to success. Lastly, Brex's recent efforts to help customers affected by the SVB technical issue truly show their commitment to their customers and their willingness to go above and beyond. Dubugras, along with Franceschi and his team, continue to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, showing that anything is possible with a bit of grit and perseverance. Today, Dubugras and Franceschi share the same net
worth at $1.5 billion.